A good Sunday afternoon to you. This weather video is driven by 802cars.com, representing 802 Toyota, Twin City Subaru, and 802 Honda, all located off of exit 7 on Interstate 89. Looking at the broad picture here, first of all, we're going to isolate the 500 millibar flow. So at 500 millibars, you can see a fairly strong shortwave trough here that's whipping through the lower Great Lakes, producing some gusty winds here. This is going to work its way across into the south of our region. We do have some gusty winds associated with it, but it looks like they're relatively marginal and really not anticipating anything here for our neck of the woods, including even our mountain summits. Mount Mansfield and the very high peaks, you'll see wind gusts over 40 miles an hour, and that's occurring currently. And it looks like another shot along about Thursday. That one we'll have to watch as a fairly potent trough of lower pressure will whip on through as well. We can also see, looking at the latest weather conditions, some scattered rain showers. Temperatures are cold enough for a little bit of snow on the backside of that system there. And also looking at the mean sea level pressures and getting rid of the 500 millibar heights, you can see the surface low here up in Canada and Quebec. And we're on the edge of that, and a strong shortwave trough, again, at surface. This VELCO weather hazards outlook, little to no impacts anticipated for utilities through this period. Generally unsettled but benign conditions for utilities, with vertical temperature profiles suggesting some mountaintop snowfall and some valley rain showers or sprinkles. The main threats will be for wind gusts exceeding 40 miles per hour for a time this afternoon, as mentioned, and then also Thursday afternoon. This from a northwesterly wind gust, though marginal, but with lowered confidence levels at this point in time. The post-mortem on last week's overachieving mountain wave action, associated gusts and outages last Monday night, Tuesday morning, shows that modeling this time of year can underdo some of these gradient wind gusts, especially this time of year with the lower skill levels. Let's take a look at the 6-hourly increments of the latest computer modeling. And to start it out, you can see this is valid at 2 o'clock this afternoon, and not a whole lot going on in terms of precipitation in Vermont. Just very scanty light precipitation. In fact, we're looking at below normal week in terms of precipitation anomaly, and only in some cases 10 to 25% in the Addison County region, but well below normal for this particular stretch. Now, as we move into Monday, you can see just flirtations with a little bit of flurry activity, and then occasionally some rain showers and some mountaintop snow showers. So a little bit of that. This is a little heftier amount of mostly rainfall at this point. There could be some mountaintop snowfall with that. In the upper tip tops of our local Green Mountains may accrue more than a couple of inches, but that's kind of marginal. And then it does get down to the valley floors as we get into Tuesday night and into Wednesday morning. Just a little bit of that. And then finally, by the time we get into Thursday, we'll have some gusty marginal winds. This is valid at about 2 o'clock on Thursday or through about the evening hours there. And this is our best project weather day with dry weather the whole entire day. And then looking beyond, going out 7 days, keep an eye on what's going out here in the Gulf Coast, and then watch a weather system right up the eastern seaboard. All speculation at this point, very, very low confidence, but this does present some interesting conditions here. A little bit of mountaintop snowfall in the White Mountains, the Presidential Range, and you can see that expands. That would be some wet snow if it were to happen, but that's a long ways out. We're talking nearly 10 days out. Looking at the daily precipitation of the GFS ensemble, you can see that this is a little bit of precipitation that comes in tomorrow on the 21st on Monday, and then we dry out a little bit. Then we see a little bit of heftier amounts on what will be basically the 23rd, which is this coming Tuesday. It's probably the most precipitation. Note this is we're only talking about 6/800ths, a tenth of an inch here, so not looking at tremendous amounts. And then it's going to be kind of unsettled as we continue into the rest of the week per the GFS ensemble. So rainfall totals you can see in the red lines here, just a quarter of an inch, and this is just half-inch amounts here in the green. And just note the main track here cutting across northern Mexico, the Gulf coastal region, and then out and then off the coast. Some of that, if that area of low pressure tracks beyond this period, it could increase our local precipitation chances considerably as we get into next week and then just beyond. Okay, temperature-wise, we're looking at a relatively mild day on this Saturday. Those temperatures make a big fall with the passage of a cold front. Colder air comes down, and we're going to see temperatures close to the freezing mark overnight tonight, and maybe a little bit of flurry activity in the morning hours on Sunday morning. And then we cool off, temperatures in the 20s, and you can see daytime high here. This would be valid for Monday. This is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We cool off a little bit. And then as we get into Friday, we're going to see an uptick in temperature. So the overall weighted trends here for the next 5 days, these are maximum temperatures running about 6 to 9 degrees below normal. And then looking 3 days later down the road, very similar conditions below normal. Note the warm weather is going to be out across the Pacific Northwest and West Coast, and it stays like that. Okay, let's change this up just a little bit. Looking at North America, you can see Greenland is well below normal, a big anomalous cold spot there, as well as a good portion of eastern Canada. This has been the case since going back to really mid-September. And then we have warmer than normal conditions across Alaska and into the Arctic. Arctic amplification is alive and well, running about 3.7 degrees Celsius above normal. And now the Antarctic is starting to kick in. And sometimes when the Antarctic warms up, the Arctic will cool down, and they kind of switch places. But in this particular case, it's really come up from where it used to be, and there is still some anomalous cold just off the coasts. But you can see where the cold air has come through in some parts of the central U.S. Right now we're running either near or above normal in terms of temperature. This colder air is going to work on in and erase this warmth here. So we've had sort of an early start to winter. With this red line here, 2018-2019, and we're running just a little bit higher than normal, and you can see the normals here with the various years going back to 2005-2006. So the measurement of snow, so Eurasia is showing a little bit of a different situation here with the snow advancement index right now a little more negative. This would bode well for a stronger polar vortex, hugging in a lot of that colder Arctic air and giving the northern hemisphere a a milder and warmer than normal winter. We'll see. This is the jury is still not completely in here, but things are not looking like we're going to see a lot of sudden stratospheric warming events to disrupt the polar vortex and allow that colder air to come into our latitude around 45 north. So what would that mean? Just kind of eyeballing this. It could mean a warmer than normal winter. This goes in sharp contradiction to the El Nino Molokai conditions that also would bring us colder than normal weather. So a lot of contradictions remain. Looking a little bit more at the tropics here, you can see that this is water vapor or precipitable water. You can see it's generally associated near the equator and a little bit north of the equator. And some of that gets in the Gulf of Mexico. The Caribbean's been pretty moist. But note that we haven't seen anything major come up the coast, and more or less the flow has been kind of a west to northwesterly and pushing these pretty far out to sea. So nothing really to get going here to add above normal precipitation until maybe after something develops in the Gulf Coast and then takes a track up the eastern seaboard beyond this period. We'll see. Nothing going on in the tropics right now, but you can see the ocean heat content for tropical cyclone formation is really in that southwestern Caribbean area, a little bit into the Gulf Coast, and indeed this is the area we need to watch from here on out. That's it from here. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights, and thanks for watching.